everybody. Welcome back to the North Central Washington MVP interview series brought to you by Career Connect Washington and the Apple STEM Network. I'm your host, Carrie Horning, Career Connected Learning Specialist with the NCESD 171. So this is now our third installment of the series. Our goal remains the same, basically to introduce our community partners to each other, be it business and industry, nonprofits, community service, educators, and even community members just interested in learning more. And as I do each week, I like to remind you a win today looks like each of you leaving with a greater understanding of the work that's being done all around in our communities and how you might actually get involved. So as corny as it is, it's become my tagline. Grab your lunch, sit back, and get ready for an extra dose of professional nutrition. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Brenda Grabski. She's the business and marketing CTE teacher at Quincy High School and our first Career Connected Learning Most Valuable Partner in this third series. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm going to do a quick little introduction of you, if that's all right. So I mentioned already, she's business and marketing teacher at Quincy High School. Go Jacks! Big alum right here, as is my husband. So that's and our kids. We love Quincy High. Brenda and I had a little bit of a chance to connect prior to today's interview, and she shared with me that she and her father hiked the boundary trails in the Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest this summer. She's also hiked the Enchantments, if I remember correctly, which I have as well. So I can say, like, not only is that otherworldly, but it's also no joke of a hike, especially when done in one day. So I can't really think of a better way to spend your summer. And I think too, as I was kind of prepping all this, my thought was there's really kind of a strong connection between appreciating the outdoors and all that Mother Nature has to offer and teaching our youth. Just thinking about appreciating the seasons and the growth both in nature and in our kiddos, our students. So I love that little tie-in. She also shared that after working in industry that she's been teaching now for 20 years. And I personally just want to say thank you, because teachers deserve the utmost respect, and 20 years, that is certainly something to celebrate. So Brenda, welcome in. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That was quite an introduction. Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. No problem. So, all right, everybody, let's kick this one off. First question. So why don't you go ahead and tell us maybe a little bit more in detail about yourself and how you came to teaching?
Well, I think my story is really similar to most CTE teachers. You know, we start out in industry and then look for maybe something a little bit more. And mine's really similar. I was in industry. I lived on the East Coast, and I just wanted more time with my family. And I thought, and I wanted to have my life maybe have more meaning, as corny as that sounds. And I was like, I'll be a teacher. It'll be so much easier. But like, spoiler alert, it's not. But it is definitely fills all my buckets. And so I switched from industry and I moved from Virginia to East Wenatchee. I got into a program. Nicole Monroe was my mentor. I was her student teacher and jumped right in. Haven't looked back.
That's terrific. Yeah, hats off to Nicole Monroe as well. She's amazing. So I love that she brought you into our hometown. So, okay, we did talk about this a little bit, but one other thing I want to ask with that answer is, what's the most surprising aspect in the transition from industry to teaching?
Oh, there's so many. I tell people it's kind of like if you've been to a restaurant thinking then that you could be a chef just because you ate the food. It's like we all have this idea, then we sit in a classroom, and I've been a consumer of education my whole life, right? And so you think as a consumer, I'm just going to step right in, and I know what I needed as a student. And so I think the all of the pedagogy and everything that goes into like being a really effective teacher, you can know all you want in industry, but able to translate into the classroom, I think that was a big surprise and a joy for me. It was like learning a whole new trade. So that was really good. And the time commitment is a little bit more than you think.
Oh, yeah.
But summers are awesome. Summers are awesome.
Excellent. That's a great answer. Thank you. All right. So how about specifically, what classes are you teaching now, and what are the opportunities that your students are looking for in terms of experience through those classes?
So I teach a mix of business and marketing. So currently I have an intro to marketing. Next semester, I'll have some intro to business, along with sports and entertainment, marketing management, some fashion marketing kind of classes weaved in. So changes from semester to semester in a small school, but they're all pretty business and marketing focused kind of classes. Yeah. And the experience, I think they signed up for my class because like in CTE, it's hands-on. We have those great labs. So we're connected with 3 businesses. We do the Hutch, Java Jacks, and the Press. So they come in so that they can do it here before they do it in the real world, make their mistakes now instead of later. So I think they come in for that hands-on learning experience for sure.
I love that. So can you tell us a little bit deeper about each of those activities that you said, the Hutch, Java Jacks, and then the embroidery? Can you tell us a little bit more about each of them?
And if there's any embroidery experts listening, my past career was in finance and accounting, so I'm not an expert in embroidery, so please get in touch with me. But we run like a snack shack during lunch times where we have beverages and food. So that's really like customer service, money skills, and then looking at, you know, profit and loss statements and really kind of entrepreneurship type things. And then the espresso stand, Java Jacks. And so I think one of my joys is seeing a student come through, and I have several former students, not from Quincy, but have gone through the espresso experience and now own their own espresso stand. So like even falling in love with your future job at high school. So that's one side. And then we do apparel, the spirit shirt. I tried to say, I made this shirt this morning. So
right on. That's awesome. I should have worn my Quincy gear too. I'm slacking here. You know what? When I showed up for one of my meetings in the office with Principal Becker and Vice Principal Averill, I had on orange, which you know, we've got an EHS participant in this program today, and I will be interviewing her as well. But you know, in the Quincy High School office, that was not the smoothest move. So. But I love your shirt.
And it's student designed, student made, and so they have a lot of fun with that. Yeah.
Good. Well, so you know what, that actually kind of takes me into my next question. You mentioned that you know, not necessarily at Quincy, but through some of the other schools, you've had students who started in maybe the coffee shop and then now own their own. Is there another story that sits with you that's kind of has a place in your heart, whether it's a connection with a student or a project that you've worked on that just, you know, brings you that joy every time you think about it?
Yeah, I love that question. And when you asked me that, I was like, I can't think of just one. So it's more a theme of like the relationships, you know, and sometimes it's community student, you know, where I've met a student and then I've met their parents, and then they come in and been guest speakers and DECA judges. And then I get to watch, and then I go to their wedding, and then I, you know, see their whole, you know, life experience, or getting that phone call when they're in college and they're in an econ class and they say, your class, this class is easy because I had your class. And that's, you know, those relationships that they even felt like they could call me up and say that, you know, and so I think it's all about the relationships and it's parents and it's community and it's students and kind of that whole beautiful mix. I
love that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So you actually brought up another point that we haven't covered yet, DECA. You're the advisor for DECA. So I think there's probably a lot of people listening today out in our community that maybe aren't familiar with that. How about you know, shining some light on DECA for us?
Oh yeah. So my first year teaching, they were like, oh, by the way, you're the DECA advisor. And I was like, what is DECA? I didn't know. And then I went to a conference and I said, where has DECA been my whole life? Like, why wasn't I in DECA? So it's the largest student-run organization in the world. It's actually international. And it's just a leadership organization for students that are interested in business, entrepreneurship, hospitality, travel, tourism. And it's about creating connections through conferences, competition, community service, and really creating a network of like-minded students and to kind of leverage them to that next level and help them find kind of their journey, their path.
Yeah. So what does that look like at Quincy High School? Are there activities that you travel to, or events, competitions? What's that look like?
Yeah, well, every Wednesday in my classroom, it's after school. There's, you know, 40 some students that come in to have snacks, because food is love, right?
Food is love.
Food is love, to have some snacks, and Practice just working together. So whether it's putting together a food drive, putting together a fashion show, getting ready for competition, which is one of the things we travel to and do. We do travel. We're getting ready to go to Bellevue in November, which is a 3-day leadership conference with students from all over the state. And it's really focused on career development, networking opportunities, opening doors to just different career paths that maybe people haven't thought of, whether it's sports or fashion or travel. So that's super fun. The kids always come back with like, I never knew. Knew. So that's fun. And then we compete. So area competitions, January 8th in Yakima. Okay. We'll take a busload of kiddos down there and they participate in, it's like the $1 million question. What is DECA? And I'm like, are you familiar with track? Did you ever do track in high school?
Yes. Yeah.
And you know how there's 100 different events and you can just pick the one. That's DECA. There's 100 different events. And if you were a great presenter or you're a great writer or you're a great on your feet problem solver in 10 minutes or what, you can kind of pick your strength or what you want to get better at and choose an event that fits you. And then, and then we kind of go compete against other schools doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. Then state and then internationals this year is in Orlando.
Whoa, hello. Wow.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed too. They survived this big storm that's cutting through there right now. So that's amazing. So, I mean, honestly, as I'm listening to DECA, it wasn't something that I participated in high school. I might be, too old. I'm not sure if it was around, but I'm thinking about all these soft skills. Our employers are hungry for interviewees, employees that are coming in with soft skills. They're saying we can teach the hard skills. But it sounds like DECA is really kind of full circle covering all of it.
Right. And we're talking about hearing back from your students. I'll have a student say, junior year, I got the job over these other because I had the best handshake. I had the best eye contact. I had the best customer service, or I was made manager. They don't know I'm too young.
That's terrific.
Oh. But a lot of organizations do partner with us. Like Safeway has a Hire First program. So if you want to work at Safeway and you're DECA, you automatically are top to the pile on the application because large organizations recruit DECA students at UW. If you're a DECA kid, your first choice into the Foster School of Business, you can get early admission.
Wow.
They really recognize just exactly what you said, that they're prepared to have the work ethic. The things that are harder to take the time out of a busy employer's day to teach, we can start to hone here so that they're ready for that next step.
That's terrific. It's really pretty amazing too. I mean, just as a reference, when you think of Safeway, you don't necessarily always think of these big careers, but I will say my college, one of my best college friends, was working at Safeway in high school, continued there when she moved to Ellensburg for college, and then made her entire career there and worked her way up the ladder and had quite a successful, career. So that's amazing. What an opportunity. Yeah.
Napa Auto Parts. I mean, Hilton. There's quite a few from a lot of industries that definitely invest in our kids for sure.
That's awesome. And you know what? I was just in the classroom yesterday up at Lake Roosevelt teaching soft skills. So I love that. And we practice the handshakes, the eye contact and the firm handshake. So good for you guys. Good for DECA. I love that. All right. Well, let's kind of close this out with, I think another great way to end the interview series is, how can our community partners get involved? How can they come and help? What is it that you need, that your students need, from the community? What can we do for you?
I love that question. And I feel like first and foremost is don't be afraid to contact us. I think maybe Sarah from Afraida will say the same thing. I mean, every program kind of has a different need, but just saying, hey, I'm available. What can I help? I think is that first step, is just sending, and I might have something that interests. For me in particular, my advisory committee, which meets a couple times a year, I really pull on those folks to keep me up to date with the trends, because I'm out of industry. I don't want to be presenting information that's outdated. So having that input from the local community on what's happening in our community, so I'm presenting the right information, is so important. And then when these huge DECA events couldn't happen without business volunteers. No teachers judge these students. It's all business people looking at them. So just prepping kids, judging them so they have that interview experience before they have the interview experience, so they have some time to grow from it. So I think contacting your CTE teachers and just saying, how can I pitch in, is the first step. Absolutely.
Terrific. Okay, that is a great answer and a great opportunity. So as a part of this series, I think that's exactly what we need to hear and exactly what we want to share out, because we know every single community, even our small communities, have the helpers out there. So and that's an easy word too. With this interview, the fact that we record it and then share it out, in my mind, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about all of our business partners at Rotary, at Chambers of Commerce, obviously our business partners at Business and Industry Partners. So I'll make sure that I share that message as well. And we definitely try to do our best at Career Connected Learning to bring those partners together. So yeah, thank you for reiterating that and reinforcing it.
Yeah, and I think I would end by saying sometimes, like, time for all of us. I mean, not, you run out of time. So it's a lot easier to have somebody contact you and then you could say yes, instead of trying to come up with a list and comb, where did I meet? How can I contact? How can I get help? So I really appreciate it when someone reaches out.
Yeah, excellent. Another thing too, just since I've got the platform of this being recorded and sharing out, earlier in the school year, actually right before the school year started, we hosted what we call the CTE and Counselor Social, and a lot of the business partners out of Moses Lake were there, and it was really kind of an amazing moment where we realized, like, hey, you know what? We're all just kind of human beings and community partners as well. Let's figure out what each other needs and how we can help each other, because they're thinking workforce development and you're thinking student development, which is workforce development. So again, this is a perfect interview, perfect answers that I can share out with all of them and say, hey, listen, this is not just Quincy, this is, throughout North Central Washington and beyond. So thank you, for your time and your answers. I appreciate that. So good. So is there anything else before I log off, before we, shut this one down? Is there anything else that you want to share while you've got the platform?
Oh my gosh. No, I don't think so. I think I'll let people enjoy their time. I could probably talk for hours about CTE. I mean, I will say I'm passionate about what I do. And so I think you won't meet a CTE teacher that isn't. I think, so.
I agree. It shows, and you're right. I have not met a CTE teacher who isn't, because you know what? There are just not enough hours in the day to cover everything that you were asked to do. So, so again, big thank you for me, who had two kiddos at the school and are thriving because of the teachers that that they were exposed to. So, so Brenda, that's it. That kind of concludes the very first NCW MVP series number 3. So thank you for being our first guest. And you know what? We will see you down the road for sure. So.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you in person.
All right, same here. All right, go Jacks.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye-bye.